Hello, young dreamers. Welcome to Poetry for the Soul. Today, we have a very special treat just for you. We're about to embark on a magical adventure to the enchanting world of Cinderella through the power of poetry.
Cinderella by Clara Doty Bates. Pretty little thing she was, the sweetest faced of girls, with eyes as blue as larkspurs and a mass of tossing curls. But her stepmother had for her only blows and bitter words, while she thought her own two ugly crows the whitest of all birds. She was the little household drudge and wore a cotton gown, while the sisters, clad in silk and satin, flaunted through the town. When her work was done, her only place was the chimney corner bench. For which one called her Cinderella, the other Cinder Wench. But years went on, and Cinderella bloomed like a wildwood rose, in spite of all her kitchen work and her common, dingy clothes, while the two stepsisters, year by year, grew scrawnier and plainer. Two peacocks with their tails outspread were never any vainer. One day they got a note, a pink, sweet-scented, crested one, which was an invitation to a ball from the king's son. Oh, then poor Cinderella had to starch and iron and plait, and run of errands, frill and crimp and ruffle, early and late. And when the ball night came at last, she helped to paint their faces, to lace their satin shoes, and deck them up with flowers and laces, then watched their coach roll grandly out of sight. And after that, she sat down by the chimney, in the cinders, with the cat, and sobbed as if her heart would break. Hot tears were on her lashes, her little hands got black with soot, her feet begrimed with ashes, when right before her, on the hearth, she knew not how nor why, a little odd old woman stood and said, "Why do you cry?" "It is so very lonely here," poor Cinderella said, and sobbed again. The little odd old woman bobbed her head and laughed a merry kind of laugh and whispered, "Is that all? Wouldn't my little Cinderella like to go to the ball?" "Run to the garden then and fetch a pumpkin, large and nice. Go to the pantry shelf, and from the mouse traps get the mice. Rats you will find in the rat trap. And from the watering pot, or from under the big flat garden stone, 6 lizards must be got." Nimble as crickets in the grass she ran, till it was done, and then Godmother stretched her wand and touched them everyone. The pumpkin changed into a coach, which glittered as it rolled, and the mice became 6 horses, with harnesses of gold. One rat a herald was, to blow a trumpet in advance, and the first blast that he sounded made the horses plunge and prance. And the lizards were made footmen, because they were so spry, and the old rat coachman on the box wore jewelled livery. And then, on Cinderella's dress, the magic wand was laid, and straight the dingy gown became a glistening gold brocade. The gems that shone upon her fingers, nothing could surpass, and on her dainty little feet were slippers made of glass. "Be sure you get back here, my dear, at 12 o'clock at night," Godmother said, and in a twinkling she was out of sight. When Cinderella reached the ball and entered at the door, so beautiful a lady none had ever seen before. The prince his admiration showed in every word and glance. He led her out to supper, and he chose her for the dance. But she kept in mind the warning that her godmother had given, and left the ball with all its charm, at just half after 11. Next night there was another ball. She helped her sisters twain to pinch their waists, and curl their hair, and paint their cheeks again. Then came the fairy godmother, and with her wand once more arrayed her out in greater splendour even than before. The coach and 6, with gay outriders, bore her through the street, and a crowd was gathered round to look. The lady was so sweet, so light of heart and face and mien, as happy children are. And when her foot stepped down, her slipper twinkled like a star. Again the prince chose only her for waltz or tete-a-tete. So swift the minutes flew, she did not dream it could be late. But all at once, remembering what her godmother had said, and hearing 12 begin to strike upon the clock, she fled. Swift as a swallow on the wing, she darted, but alas, dropped from one flying foot the tiny slipper made of glass. But she got away, and well it was she did, for in a trice her coach changed to a pumpkin, and her horses became mice, and back into the cinder dress was changed the gold brocade. The prince secured the slipper, and this proclamation made, that the country should be searched, and any lady, far or wide, who could get the slipper on her foot, should straightway be his bride. So every lady tried it, with her my's and ah's and oh's, and Cinderella's sisters pared their heels and pared their toes, but all in vain. Nobody's foot was small enough for it, till Cinderella tried it, and it was a perfect fit. Then the royal heralds hardly knew what it was best to do, when from out her tattered pocket forth she drew the other shoe, while the eyelids on the larkspur eyes dropped down a snowy veil, and the sisters turned from pale to red, and then from red to pale, and in hateful anger cried and stormed and scolded and all that. And a courtier, without thinking, tittered out behind his hat. For here was all the evidence the prince had asked, complete, 2 little slippers made of glass, fitting 2 little feet. So the prince, with all his retinue, came there to claim his wife, and he promised he would love her with devotion all his life. At the marriage there was splendid music, dancing, wedding cake, and he kept the slipper as a treasure ever, for her sake.